Hello and welcome back to the Schmitter's 100 Acre Woods. One's going to be removing the backhoe off of the M62. So it does have a removable backhoe to where you can take it off, put on the 3-point hitch attachments, and then hook up like a bush hog or a grater box. So on the M62 comes standard with the BT1400 backhoe as part of it. So this is part of the Kubota TLB series, so that's the tractor loader backhoe. So that's how the M62, the L47, and the B26, how all of those come standard. So to kind of show you here what we got going, so have a lot of the similar things like you have on a typical tractor. So you have your lift arms for the 3-point hitch here, the guard for the PTO that's there, and then underneath, which I probably won't get into in this video, but there's some mounting points for the 3-point hitch. So you have one that goes here, and then pieces you actually bolt onto the tractor further back that support the 3-point hitch. So those are there. And this is a diagram that shows you pulling these in and out and adjusting a piece up there so that you basically switch the hydraulics from going to these hoses down here that power the backhoe. So you have 2 outs and a return, and then you switch that to then power the lift arms on the PTO. Fairly simple design on how the backhoe sits on the back of this. So you have a pin here that pushes through. So this little catch, this will pull out that direction to pull that out. And then down at the bottom you can see that there's a piece that the tractor actually, or the backhoe actually sits into the tractor, which is bolted to the main frame of the tractor. So essentially what you're trying to do is to remove the backhoe. You are relieving the pressure on the 2 top pins so you can pull those out, and then you are picking up the backhoe to get it out of the bottom brackets that it sits in, and then you can use the crawl feature of the 62 and move the machine away, remembering that you have your 3 hoses hooked up right here. So once it's far enough away, you can then unhook these hoses and completely remove the backhoe. Before I get the machine started up and you can't hear me as well, there's kind of a couple key things that you're looking for when removing this. So you want to start with as level ground as possible. So if you're starting someplace that's already uneven, you can use the outriggers to help you know, level yourself up, but it does make it more challenging because if you have the tractor on a tilt and the backhoe, getting everything lined up is just going to be much more difficult. And then the other thing is basically you get the boom kind of in this position, so you have it just down a little bit and then partly curled in and with the bucket flat. And basically what this allows you to do is to use the backhoe to kind of get some in and out movement. So a lot of the times the pins are actually pinned, the top pins that you pull out are actually because you need to tilt the machine in or out to loosen those so that they pull out. And then you use the outriggers to pick the machine up to get it out of the bottom brackets. The other thing to note is we did have this off fairly recently, just to inspect everything. And one thing that we found really helps is these top pins that you have to pull out. If you take and coat them in anti-seize, it makes worlds of difference when trying to remove those. If you don't put anything on there and they start to rust in place, or rust builds on the outside and they don't move as well, you can see here between the bracket and the tire, there's not a lot of room to get in here to take a hammer or something and drive that out without removing the tire. So once you have all the pressure relieved, and like these, since we've anti-seized them, and even before we just took it off, we had anti-seized and hadn't had the thing off for, I don't know, probably close to a year or more, it still pulled right out because we anti-seized last time. So I'm already set on fairly level ground, or as level as things get around here. So I'll go ahead and get the machine started up. Start by taking the plate that covers this, just pulling that up. I always start by getting the outriggers close to the ground. So I don't want to use it to really pick up the machine yet. Close so that it's ready. Okay, and then the boom's already on the ground. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and spin this seat around. I'm just going to set my feet on the 3-point hitch here. And go ahead and grab a hold of the pin and pull the piece up that helps to rotate it out. And then I'm going to start by just picking the machine up a little bit with the backhoe and seam. So there, you can just kind of lightly pull and twist on it, and once you do that, you can find the spot where it comes out really easy. So I'm starting by picking up a little bit, and you can see there where it twisted really easy, and I can just simply pull this out by twisting and wiggling this out. Okay, so I have it picked up a little bit with the backhoe, so now I'm going to just work on rolling it away. So I'm just relieving a little bit of pressure, letting it go down. I'm going to go ahead and use the outriggers a little bit to get it picked up. And then roll away a little bit. So here. And then in doing that, I'm also picking these up down here so that they come up. I just about have it out of the bottom brackets. I'm going to go ahead and use outriggers to pick it up just a little bit more. And watching the hoses, you do have these 3 hoses over here, so watch and make sure you don't pinch anything. It looks like I'm up and up, and then drive forward very slowly. Remembering that the hoses are connected, so I'm going to do that right there. Okay, so without the backhoe in the way, you can kind of see all this a little bit better. So this is the piece that the pin slid through. This is where the piece in the pin drops down to stop it from coming out. So see that on that side, and then down here, so that's what these bottom pieces here sit in. So this piece here sits in that piece, and this piece is bolted back into and welded to the frame of the tractor, so it makes a very sturdy connection to the frame of the tractor, not just an add-on that's stuck on. And then this here, you do have the PTO, keep the cover on it just since we don't use it very often, and we do have that. Basically back the tractor back up to it, get it close, use the backhoe to swing everything back in, and the outriggers to lower everything to get it in those bottom mounting spots, and then again using the backhoe to push the backhoe up against the tractor machine. You can use that to get the pressure point correct when putting those pins back in. The outriggers are off the ground, so we know that it's all the way seated down. And what I'll watch for here is these backers back here that fit into this. I just pushed it up against it. I'll get the pin in, start pushing it in, and then give it a little bit more pressure and just kind of work it until the pin should just easily slide in. Hopefully you found this video interesting and could learn a little bit about the M62, how the backhoe part comes on and off. I'll do another video later about putting the 3-point hitch stuff on. So I'll do a video when I put that stuff on, and I'll show you the entire process again. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you learned a little bit, hopefully you learned something from it. Like, subscribe, and we'll catch you next time.